Ooh.
Oh, no, okay. It's like when you start like a FromSoft game, innit?
Yeah.
Just like, oh yes, Dark Souls through that lovely, like, dark, brooding screen, like, oh god, no, the flashbang. So at that time, I was playing, like, Rainbow Six Vegas 2, and I played it on casual mode, so you got 10 grenades, and I threw 10 flashbangs into a room, and my friend threw another 10 flashbangs in, and the AI just died. And I think, like, what was that like?
If one flashbang goes off, and 2 flashbangs go off, like, what's the difference? Like, is the additional flashbang doing anything else to the person?
It's because in that game, like, flashbangs did a little bit of damage, so 20 at once did enough to, like, just kill the guy. It's like, that fucking sucks. If something was so loud and so bright, you just died and gave up.
Like, if you solar flare someone, does it matter if you solar flare them with, like, 20 people or with just one?
Everyone in Dragon Ball should learn how to do a solar flare.
Oh, they
just
should,
tried it as a first opening gambit. Because, like, most of the enemies they fight do have eyes.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But anyway, we're not here to talk about solar flares and flashbangs.
What are we talking about?
Well, Carl, we normally don't really particularly talk about the fact that, like, oh, we're recording on said day and whatever. But the date is quite specific to the reason why I picked today's subject.
Okay.
Because today is, recording day, July 3rd, 2024, the day before, like, Independence Day, both for America and us this time.
Yeah.
Because, we're getting rid of the Tories. We're getting the Tories out.
Yes? Where's this going?
Well, the problem is, Carl, we're getting the Tories out, and then Keir Starmer, like Mr. Tory himself, is coming back in to, like, secure Labour. I decided to talk about the way I'm feeling about the UK at the moment, so I'm talking about the film The World's End.
I was like, where is this going?
We were going along on a ride, everybody.
I was like, are we talking about, like, just Keir Starmer or, like, Rishi Sunak or something like that?
No, we are talking about the 2013 sci-fi comedy film directed by Edgar Wright and written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, The World's End.
All before reaching our destiny, The World's End.
Great film. My favourite of the Cornetto trilogy.
Oh, this is a hot take. And, speaking of hot, I know that I'm still recovering from sunburn a little bit. Leave me alone in the comments. But,
Lucas got solar flared.
I did. I got solar flared indeed.
Do you know the sun from the Teletubbies? He just walked up and said, hello, Mr. Sun. Solar flared. Like, no.
Carl, defend yourself. This hot take.
Okay, so the Cornetto trilogy, if anyone doesn't know, is which 3 films, Lucas?
So that would be Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. And the only real thing connecting the 3 is that in each movie it features either a cornetto or a cornetto rapper.
But if I'm honest, I'm hard-pressed to recall any processed foods I actually miss.
Yes, and the other connective tissue is that they star Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and a couple of other actors who are familiar with or friends with Edgar Wright, the director, who directed and wrote all 3 movies. Just to cut people off, Paul is not considered part of the Cornetto trilogy. It stars Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. It's not written by Edgar Wright.
It's not written or directed by him, yeah. And I don't even think Simon Pegg wrote Paul, as far as I'm aware.
I don't know who wrote that film. It's not very good. They're also connected by being loosely just homages to films and genres and tropes that all 3 of those men are fans of. Mm-hmm. So Shaun of the Dead is a send-up to horror movies, and like it evokes and lampshades horror movie tropes. Hot Fuzz is a send-up to the action movie genre, and World's End is a send-up to the sci-fi genre.
Well, it's also Hot Fuzz is also a send-up to like those like 70s detective TV shows and stuff, right? Those
a lot of stuff like that,
yeah. I
remember seeing an interview with Edgar Wright where it's like, whenever you see like a police officer in a movie, it's always an American police officer, like John McClane. Like, John McClane's like a New York cop, and he gets like, elbow drop helicopters with cars. They don't really have anything like that for the English Bobby. The English Bobby is seen as being quite quaint. So when you see them in media from outside of the UK, then always it's like, well then. So they don't get to be cool. So he made the movie to make like an action movie with English cops.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off, grasshopper. Jesus Christ!
Apparently, yeah, Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright have got out of like a lot of, and Nick Frost have got out of a lot of speeding tickets because they watch it and go, oh yeah, we like that film. Like, slow down next time, PC Angel.
Yeah, maybe, like, stop speeding in the first place, but I will.
Yeah.
The World's End, though, like, as you say, the last of the Cornetto trilogy, I think it's a very good movie, and I think it got a lot of flack at the time for not being up to the same standard as the other two.
So initially, when I was younger, my favourite was Shaun of the Dead, because it's not teenagery, but it's like it reminds me a lot of like university, like lounging around on a sofa, having a few beers, not really knowing what to do with your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hot Fuzz is just a fantastic action movie, and it's like a homage to all my favourite kind of movies, which are action movies. But then World's End is just so much more poignant. The story of it really resonates with me now as a man in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Of like going back and watching it, and just the character of Gary King, of just that guy who peaks in high school.
Knowing in my heart life would never feel this good again. And you know what? It never did.
That's thing 2013, it would have been like just kind of after the period around the time like we ended uni, and then watching it 10 years later in hindsight when you're like the 30-year-old man, like, yeah, it does hit a bit different.
When you are like the characters in the movie, when you're going back, you get invited to, a night out with an old friend, or you happen to go back to your hometown and go to the pub and realise, wow, there's still people here who are still doing the exact same thing 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
It just hits a lot harder, and the performances, I think, are a lot better. It's not to say the performance in the one's that good. Simon Pegg, in particular, really gets to flex his like dramatic chops.
He does, yeah, and I think more so than any of the other two movies, I should say. Like, all of the cast of characters get to show off their acting chops a bit more. All of them have some kind of trauma related to Gary King, the main character.
Yes.
And they all kind of get to go through that trauma in some way or another, and, like, it's a bit of, like, a therapy movie for them all, a bit of a therapy session for them all, but...
Which we'll probably get into, yeah, because I think that's one of the reasons that, like, Edgar Wright decided to write it the way that he did. Because he was a lot older. Like, he wrote Shaun of the Dead when he was, like, still a student, I think, and then refined the idea. Well, he was doing Space, at least. Mm-hmm. It came from, like, that episode of Space with the zombies in it.
You want a piece of me? Come get some.
It's similar to, like, I've watched, like, a few different interviews and, the documentary and stuff around God of War from, like, 2018.
Oh, yes.
And it's like, oh, yeah, a lot of people who made God of War, like, on PS2 were still making these God of War games now, but we were all, like, 20-odd-year-old knobheads who were going out and partying all the time and thought Kratos was, like, super cool, going around killing everyone and, like, having sex with all these different Greek women and stuff, and now we're, 15 years removed from that or whatever, and we're making God of War for the PS4, and we've all got kids and stuff, and we're like in our 40s. We didn't really want to make that kind of thing anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's Cory Balrog, isn't it, when he's talking about it?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say Cory Balrog then. He always gets called that, right? But when he's talking about, like, well, I look at Kratos and think, like, I'm one of the people who helped define his character, but I looked at my son and thought, is that the lesson I want to impart on my son? Would Kratos have a similar thought process to that? Let's explore that. Let's give him a son. Let's give him another chance to have a family.
So instead he made a game with a really annoying child in it. It was like, this is reflective of my current experience.
Let's be fair, Trace is only annoying for that one part of the game. And it is
he's annoying for the entire first game and a lot of Ragnarok, I think, as well. But he goes, like, into, I want to launch this child off a cliff for that, like, hour of the game.
We're sick of hearing about little people's little problems!
All right. That hurt a little.
I like Atreus. That's your hot take. I think Atreus is a great addition to the game.
I think he's a good addition in the sense of, like, I think it makes for a compelling story. I don't like him as a character.
Okay, I think he's a fantastic foil to Kratos.
He is, yeah. As I say, it adds to the story, doesn't mean I like the character.
Fair enough. But tell me more about World's End.
Yeah,
presumably it's not your favourite. I imagine your favourite is Shaun of the Dead.
I don't really know anymore, because all three of them hit really differently in, like, they all excel in different ways, right? I do think Shaun of the Dead, for me, is probably still the funniest. Probably, like, the tightest of the three films as well.
Take calm, go to Mum's, kill Phil, sorry, grab Liz, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
It's close to perfect. There is zero fat to be trimmed from that movie. World's End gets a little bit soggy, around the midsection towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little bit you could probably trim from that, but that they were feeling themselves with the acting.
Yeah.
Hot Fuzz is just, again, not an ounce of fat on that thing.
That's the thing, right? I think this one feels a bit looser in that sense of it does feel like it smells its own farts a little bit at times, and
it's more narrative driven, that's for sure.
This is me, by the way, comparing 3 of my favourite movies to one another. To clarify,
we're not saying it's bad. We're just saying Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead are near flawless in their editing.
Whereas I think this has more highs and lows.
Yes, but I think the highs are so high that, as I said, and the fact that it resonates with me at the age that I am now, just only a hair above Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, fair. It's really hard for me to even say anymore because they're all 3 fantastic films, and I just really resonate with the idea of Gary King as well, of these aliens being look, we'll make your life perfect. We'll just take over. None of you need to worry. We'll turn you all into weird robot people. Yeah, sure, but the world will be perfect. And just really resonates with me of just, fuck off.
It is just the beginning.
Oh, fuck off, you big lamp.
It is the logic, not even the logic, the illogical extreme to the drunken political argument people have in pubs.
Mm-hmm.
And just it ends with you just being fuck off.
Yeah, I've had enough of your shit.
That's what it is. It's it is the most cathartic of the movies, where the ending is, look, we know better than you, and it's just Simon Pegg being seeing right through it, and no, fuck off. It's how many people have been melted by your supposed perfect plan? Well, we've melted quite a few people, we will admit.
Yeah,
but
well,
we're still confident we're going to
killed 95% of your population, but we'll fix you all. It's fine.
Yeah, we're still confident that the idea is going to work out. It's just fuck off. I
think the story is very good in the sense of I do think it really delves by the end of it quite well, and has a good look into a character who is going through depression, and I think it's a really realistic depiction of it.
I think that as well, because it's such a realistic story that it clashes so much more with the fantastical elements. And there are realistic elements to Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is basically just him and his girlfriend reconciling and going to the pub.
Yeah.
That's a very grounded story, and then zombies happen. But just it's so serious a story. Because that's the thing, ultimately the story of Shaun of the Dead doesn't really matter. It's a relationship when you're in your 20s. It's probably not going to last, right? But whereas World's End is about friendships that are going to last for the rest of your life, should have lasted for the rest of your life. That's the statistic. If you've had a friend for more than 10 years, then they're going to be a friend for the rest of your life, right?
I don't know, but yeah, sure, let's go with that.
There's a statistic someone says that if you've known someone for about that long, you're probably going to know them for the rest of your life, and that's what that film hits a lot harder.
The first half of the movie is constantly people being just frustrated with Gary and being I don't want to do this reunion. I don't want to see Gary anymore. You keep lying to us about everything, and I don't want to go out drinking with you, etc., etc. And then it just slowly turns into right, okay, this is a guy trying to recapture a part of his life that he actually enjoyed.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to explain it to his friends, so the only thing he can think to do is, let's just get wasted. And it's Gary, and that's the thing as well, the thing I like is that they do go to the pub, and they have 2 or 3 pints, and they're it's been really nice to catch up, we've seen a few people that we recognise, and then Gary's let's go to a nightclub, and he gets the shots in, Gary, we're not 20. It's that's not what there's more to life than that now, and Gary's but there's not, though. That's
the thing, is again talking about the fact that this movie is a bit more of has more highs and lows than the other 2 in the trilogy. It's it does really resonate with me, just that story, and just the idea of Gary King's not an asshole, he's just struggling and finding it hard to actually talk about it to his friends and his family.
Yeah, I see. He doesn't know what to say, and he thinks the solution to it is just to try and recapture his youth. That's why so many of the elements of the film really hit home. It's no, I know those people. I know that. I know Gary King.
There's only one Gary
It's like when I go back to my hometown, I go to the pub, and it's like, I'll go in, it's like, I'm always going to bump into someone that I know. I'll pop in and have like one or two, and there's people that they've been there every weekend. Mm-hmm. Every weekend. Just waiting for a chance to talk about high school again. It's like, that was 15 years ago.
Right. That is the basic premise of The World's End is just this character struggling and getting the gang back together for like the pub crawl that they never finished when they finished high school, right? And
yeah,
the movie stars Carl Simon Pegg as Gary King, obviously, and then it stars Nick Frost, Paddy Considine, Martin Freeman, Eddie Marsan, Rosamund Pike, and Pierce Brosnan. And
fucking stacked cast, right?
It's a great cast, and Paddy Considine is one of those actors that gets utilised in not many films that I've seen, at least, and I think he's great every time.
If you didn't see anything suspicious, then who did?
He's one of those actors, like, he'll be on, like, Holby City or something for an episode, like The Line of Duty, for, like, 1 or 2 episodes, and he'll turn up and knock it out of the park. It's like Eddie Marsden.
Right, yeah.
That's his name, right? Is it Marsden or Marsden? Marsden, sorry. Like, he's so good in that film. Like, the bit where it's like, he bumps into his old high school bully.
Yeah.
And he just goes back and he's like, I prepared myself for it. You know, he beat me up every day. It's the fact he didn't even recognise me.
There is a reason for that, but at the time you don't know it.
Yes.
And you don't know the swing that the movie is going to take and the twist. But, like, yeah, that moment where he's like, I prepared myself for this moment because I figured I was probably going to bump into my high school bully because he's probably not moved on. Yeah, just the fact that he just looked right through me and didn't have a fucking clue who he was. Like, he beat the shit out of me every day of my life for like 5 years.
He ruined my life. Yeah, he says, like, he ruined my life.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't even remember.
And it's not even that he ruined a large portion of my childhood. No, it's the fact that just then, he didn't recognise me. He looked straight through me. It's like it all meant nothing.
And it's such a realistic bit of acting. Mm-hmm. Like, such a good, just bit of... You feel so bad for the guy.
You do, yeah. And then, obviously, the twist, as we haven't really talked about too much, is, like, it's essentially, like, the body snatchers, right? And
Invasion of body snatchers, yeah.
What happens is that there's actually been an invasion, but it's, like, an invasion that no one really knows about yet, and they've slowly been replacing people with, like, robotic replacements instead, and that's why he doesn't remember him.
Yeah, and the film, more than any of them, I feel, is more metaphorical. That's just representative of, as you get older, you just close yourself off to new experiences. Mm-hmm. And it's like, when they're going into the pubs, isn't it? It's like, oh, the Weatherspoonization of every pub now.
Oh, yeah,
there's that great visual joke. They're going to a second pub, and it's like, the exact same layout. And I'm just there, I'm like, what? It's because everything's just the same now.
Is this the same pub? And it's
no,
like, yes, it is, but it's not. But it is.
Oh, yes, this is more like it.
Like deja vu.
Oh, and this is something I didn't know
yes.
about the movie itself, but in 1995, Wright wrote a screenplay titled Crawl about teenagers on a pub crawl. Deciding it was better suited as a comedic exploration of young adulthood and aging, he reworked the screenplay with Pegg in the early 2010s. That's something that I've learned about Wright over time, is like just the early stuff that he did and just like all of the little projects that he works on, and then, you know, he brought that back into like his career later on in life.
Yeah, it's how he made like, it's how he cut his teeth, it's how he made like, you know, a lot of the connections that he has. Like, Spaced is the most obvious one, but almost every actor on Spaced reappears in his big Hollywood budget, his big Hollywood movies, because just Wright felt such a kinship with them. Like, one of my favourite bits in Shaun of the Dead, it's based on a joke Wright had of, when everyone thinks of a zombie apocalypse, they're going to survive. They think they're going to be the one who has the great plan. And his joke was, what about if there's someone out there who has a better plan than you?
Yeah.
And that's when Sean bumps into actors from Spaced, and the joke he says is, yeah, you'll notice that all of those actors, there's an equivalent for every person in Sean's group, but they're all better, more established actors.
Not necessarily better, but they're all more well-known actors,
They're
right?
all like, no, like, what I mean is like better established and well-known actors. I don't mean like they're better in it.
Yeah,
but just they have that running gag of like, and you'll notice they're all just more, at the time they were all more famous and established British actors, because Sean's plan's shit, and that's the joke.
It's like the point is that we're not following like the story of the group that had their shit together and survived. we're following the story of, like, the dickhead that got all his friends killed.
Yeah, and that's why, like, she even says to, isn't it? It's like, oh, where are you going? The Winchester. She's like, the pub. Okay, good luck.
Yeah. Good job.
You got somewhere you're going?
Yeah, we're going to the Winchester.
The pub.
Yeah.
Right, well.
Yeah, and you see it in Hot Fuzz as well, where a bunch of the townspeople are all just the cast of Spaced.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to double check the other actor that I really like as well. Yeah, Michael Smiley. So he's from Spaced, and I forget which role he gets. He's just like a random zombie in the crowd of Shaun of the Dead.
Michael Smiley.
You'd recognise his face.
I'm
That's
sure
the
I
thing.
will when I...
Yeah, you'd recognise his face.
Yes,
like,
I
he's
know
one
who
of
you
like
mean.
those actors.
Yeah, because he's like in Spaced, he just plays the delivery guy, right?
Yeah.
Who's just like the raver, and that's a great episode when they go on and out with him.
Doesn't get much better than that. I just wish sometimes I could control these fucking mood swings.
So what did you two friends do last night?
Yeah, but he's just like one of those actors. Like, he's a really great British actor. Not in much. Well, he's in a lot, but he's not in like big movies.
Mm-hmm.
But Edgar Wright's like, no, I'm going to give you a role in, like, Shaun of the Dead.
And he's a pretty pivotal role in The World's End as well, right? He's like the dealer.
Yeah, he's the dealer.
It's just like basically explains what's going on to the crew.
Yes,
but
yeah. I just double check now. In Shaun of the Dead, yeah, he's one of the zombies, and even wears his outfit from the show Space.
Oh, does he? Right.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the exact details. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
He gets all those like little bit actors. Like, I'm going to give you a chance to be in a massive Hollywood production.
The movie was pretty big. It's produced by Relativity Media, Big Talk Productions, and Working Title Films. Principal photography began on 28th of September 2012 and lasted until that December. It's a pretty tight schedule.
As is common for Edgar Wright, yeah. Like, it's one of the things he's very well known for, of having like just everything is storyboarded.
Right, yeah.
To the second.
And that's the thing is, like, every time you hear about, like, cast and crew working with Edgar Wright is just, like, how productive he is, like, how great he is, how much he, like, makes everybody enjoy being on set as well. And that's one thing that, like, the Scott Pilgrim cast and crew talk about is, like, the only reason they did that television show and all came back for it is just, like, well, we all fucking still talk to one another because of how much fun we had on set together and how great Edgar Wright made for everyone.
Just how painless the entire process was, because everything was planned out.
It's like they still have a group email chain that they're all still together on, and that's how, like, he managed to ask everyone, just, hey, are we going to do this Netflix version? It's like, oh yeah, they're all just in that email chain still.
Isn't it as well, like, Michael Cera never responds to it? He responds like a meme, like, 2 years later, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, it's very funny how, like, quaint The World's End is, because it's like, just, oh yeah, filming locations include, like, Elstree Studios, Letchworth Garden City, and Welling Garden City, and it's just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go find, like, a couple of small towns in England and just go shoot there, and feels very Edgar Wright. And
yeah, he does that a lot as well. Yeah, he did that for Shaun of the Dead. Did that for Hot Fuzz.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't realise this either, though.
Okay, tell me.
Maybe getting a bit more Hollywood is that the stunts were coordinated by members of Jackie Chan's stunt team.
Yes, I do know this one because it was Brad Allen, right?
It doesn't say who it was specifically, but it
Does
just says members of the Jackie Chan stunt team.
I'm pretty sure it's Brad Allen. Like, he's like, he was, sorry, because he passed away. He was like the guy. He was like Jackie Chan's protege.
Listed here, though, it's not actually a massive movie in terms of box office, at least. It's like...
None of them are, though, right?
No, they are not particularly. And it says The World's End grossed $46.1 million worldwide on a budget of $20 million. And it's like, yeah, it made double its money back, but realistically that means it didn't make any money because...
No.
Generally, I think the math is... marketing is about double the budget of the movie. Take the budget of the $20 million. That $20 million is probably also going to be how much they spend on marketing, roughly.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's true about most of, like, Edgar Wright's movies, right? It's like they never... We talked about this in the Shaun of the Dead episode of, it's a movie, I've never met someone who's not seen it.
Yeah,
his box office was, like, abysmal.
Yeah.
Compared to, like, I think it was like an Adam Sandler that movie that year that, like, quadrupled. Of course. But I've never heard anyone who's not seen Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, like, I don't know anyone that hasn't watched at least one of the three, if not all three, of the Cornetto trilogy.
But they just don't do well at the box office for some reason.
No, they really don't. Don't know how well Baby Driver did. Another one that we should probably cover at some point.
Really? That cast section is going to be fun.
I mean, we'll have to cover it at some point because it's an interesting film.
It is.
But, like, the cast is problematic.
Yes, and I did double check Brad Allen did do a World's End. Oh, the World's End. He also did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Oh, well, that also explains why that movie's choreographed so well as well, yeah. Another movie that I know everyone's fucking seen it, but did awful at the box office, Scott Pilgrim. Yeah.
It's because they made a movie that directly appealed to people who download all their movies off the internet.
I mean, that's true.
What do you think they all did?
It's one of those weird things where Edgar Wright is probably, at least currently, like, my favourite director, and it is a shame, but at the same time, it's like, it's not that much of a shame because he still continues to work to this day, and, like, seemingly just people have that expectation of they know roughly where an Edgar Wright film's gonna land. Like, they're not giving him ridiculous amounts of money, they're giving him like $20 million for the World's End and stuff like that. I think he's making the exact kind of movies he wants, and like just in that nice little, like, you know, his niche.
I do wish though they just give Marvel money.
Famously, they didn't they? Right, like he was going to be the Ant-Man director, and then he just couldn't work within like the stringent way that Marvel wanted him to work, and that's why Ant-Man 1, there's like so many elements of it that look really visually distinct.
Yep.
Because it's based off like the initial work that Edgar Wright did.
Yep, all the preliminary work that he did, like storyboards and stuff, I think. I'm not sure exactly how far along in the process he got, because he got NDA'd out the arsehole, but...
Yeah, of course, but...
Enough where I can see it. I can see the DNA of his work.
You can tell a little bit when you find out, yeah, and like, it's just one of those of reportedly, it was just, hey, like a lot of directors that get pulled on, is like, the idea sounds great, he was a massive Ant-Man fan, but they kept wanting to like, put all this other shit in and limit what he was able to do with Ant-Man. And he's just like, I don't really give a shit about other Marvel projects. I'm an Ant-Man fan. I'm not a Marvel fan.
That's just tracks so much. I'm a fan of Ant-Man.
Like, what? It's such a weird one, right? Of like, Ant-Man's not particularly one of like the mainstream Marvel characters. And
every character is someone's favourite character, Lucas.
But you would assume that most people that have gotten into Ant-Man have probably done so by being a Marvel fan and reading other comics. But he's just like, nah, man, I'm all in on Ant-Man.
Yeah, he's my boy.
So I'll just go straight on to, like, we talked roughly about the plot of the movie. And it is literally just, you know, they go on the pub crawl, they realise that people have been body snatched, and then eventually a lot of them get picked off. Simon Pegg confronts the aliens and tells them to fuck off, and then they destroy the world. And that's where the world's end is. And just, yeah, I do like the idea, though, that, you know, he does, at the end of the movie, he thrives in, like, this apocalypse with his friends, like, robot body versions of all of them as high schoolers.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Me? They call me the king.
Well, he finds a purpose, doesn't he? It's not so much that the world needed to end for him to get his shit together. It's just that he needed to provide direction. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. When, like, the monsters in the movie are the blanks. There's things like copies of people. Yes. And when the aliens fuck off, they're all left listless and directionless, which is what Simon Pegg's character was. Like, Gary King was listless and directionless. It's like, don't worry, guys, I know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be able to say, fuck the system in YouTube, but we can't. Would you know what would help us do that? People subscribe to our Patreon.
That is true,
the more money we make from Patreon, the more we can tell YouTube to go fuck itself. We can put more clips in and swear more.
That is true. I did see a thing of people saying like that they're getting even stricter with like swearing on here, so we are potentially fucked, but yeah, to, you know, help us live our little anarchist lives and not conform to YouTube so much, you can go help us out on our Patreon, link to which you can find below.
Yes. Organic as fuck that was, unlike the blanks, who were robots.
I mean, that's the thing, it doesn't really, like, explain truly what they are. They are robots by the definition of robots, but they're not robotic like the way that you normally think, because they're like mannequin people that are like these weird porcelain bots. Like,
yes,
it's a different design than you would expect anyway.
I love the way they move though. Where like they move like people until there's like a loud noise, and they suddenly like Invasion of the Body Snatchers hands straight forward, and they just move with absolute efficiency and economy of motion for the killing blow every single time.
And I also just love the there's like a moment where one of them just like pops their arm back on, right?
Yep.
The woman the like Gary's trying to flirt with, when she gets attacked in the garden, and the woman just like starts spinning her arms around, just
runs towards him,
whirling her arms and just running at them straight away.
I think we have to give a shout out though to Nick Frost, where Nick Frost just makes the bar stool fists.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because listen, I love that throughout that film they talk about like Nick Frost as like this legend. Where one of my favourite lines in the film is where he's like, "Okay, 5 pints," and he's like, "No alcohol for me, teetotal." And you just see that look on Simon Pegg's face where he's looking at him drinking the water. He's like, "I can't believe this. A man of your alcoholical talents drinking fucking rain." There's something like he calls it rain.
Yeah.
And then just like Nick Frost downs 12 shots of vodka, just makes himself bar stool fist. Says, "I fucking hate this town."
I fucking hate this town!
It's such a realistic and raw emotion, right? Like, I fucking hate my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get this place is shit. I want to get out. I want to go home.
I didn't even necessarily grow up in a place that was like a place to, dislike, but I still get that emotion of just like, there's just that raw like feeling of just, I want to get out.
Just the uneasiness, yeah, of like nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've changed, I've grown as a person, I've experienced the wider world. I would like to continue doing that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, I ended up in Liverpool, which ironically is like not very far away from where I grew up. It's still that feeling of just like, I want to be somewhere different, I want to move on.
I made my own life, yeah. So.
Some people really like to stay in their hometown and be exactly where they were, and other people, like, myself and you, it's just that feeling of just like, I need to get out.
It reminds me of, it's like the Euros are on at the moment, the football. Just one of those signs that I saw that like a visceral reaction in me. It's like a guy holding a sign like, "Born in Barnsley, live in Barnsley, die in Barnsley." And it's like, you don't want to go to Leeds.
Yeah.
Like, even like Leeds. So it's just like, it's just a fundamental like lack of curiosity about the world.
Yeah, it's wild.
And I say as an introvert who doesn't like going outside.
I like going and experiencing new things. I don't like how busy those places usually are. Because, generally a lot of the time I go to places, it's either I'm going to fucking Disneyland or I'm going to a popular city that's meant to be really nice.
Yeah.
And both of those are crowded and busy, and as an introvert, I say that I don't like that part, but I do like the new experience as part of it all.
It's like, I forget which show it is now, it's like this satirical sketch show, where it's like a guy's doing an impression of like a footballer doing an interview, speaking of football, and he's like doing a piss-take interview of like what footballer should actually say. And it's like, well, how would you respond to the criticisms from fans? And he just sits there and goes, well, to be honest, I'm going to go home to my giant house with my supermodel wife, and I'm not going to think about the opinions of someone whose entire life revolves around 90 minutes on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It's such a brutal way of wording it, but it's like, yeah, there are people like that. I used to be like that. I used to be when I was like 22 years old. I was like, we're going out this weekend, lads, to the same club, to drink the same drinks.
But sometimes that's all you need. You just need a bit of an escapism of like...
Of course, yes.
I just want to go to my comfort place and just like, I want to go to the same club, because guess what? We'd spent years going and trying different clubs and figuring out our favourite one.
Well, that's now we're older, yeah. And another thing...
Well,
that's
when you say like 22, that's a few years out. You've been to uni for a few years, you've figured out the clubs that you like. Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. You can't still be doing the same stuff you're in university when you're in your 30s.
Every time you joke about, like, oh, we could go co-op, like, Nowadays, I'm just like, my body hurts a little bit when you say the words. I'm like...
The thing is, though, I've got one more in me.
I definitely have. But, like, it's got to be, you know, the night out every now and then rather than every weekend.
I do realize me and Lucas are talking about this, knowing that we stream on Twitch with clockwork regularity. I consider that to be my job, not what I do for fun.
I mean, true, yeah, right. It's like, I enjoy the process of doing it, same with this. But that's jobs, right? Yeah. Like, they are fundamentally something that we are doing to try and get an income. And, you know, I've just realised, like, that we're, speaking of all that jazz, you know, about to do a podcast live straight after this recording. So I guess we should just leave it there so that we can go do more job.
Do more job.
Do more job.
Okay, I guess we can end on that. What's your favourite part of the film? Someone might have said, like, the line of just the fight in the bar where Nick Frost, I fucking hate this town. Classic, top tier.
I think it might just be, like, as I say, the catharsis of the ending of just, like, telling this, like, master alien race to just fuck off.
People who think they know better.
Mm-hmm. And I think we need to do, like, a separate video where we talk about, like, the Cornetto trilogy and go through all, like, the cool references and different things that they've done, because, like...
Yeah, all the things that connect them besides just, like, the loose overarching themes and stuff. Because we mentioned it in the start, but there's so many things that connect all the films. Like, there's Easter eggs and lines and jokes and actors and locations and just so much, right?
And, like, even, I believe there was a Fat Fiend video that people can go check out after this.
Yes,
from back in the day, where it was talking about the fact that, like, there's just one hint in the background that you basically never notice in this movie, and it is Karl.
It's the cars. So every car in the background of The World's End is a hybrid or an electric car, and they're all the same colour. You wouldn't notice that, but it's a very specific detail, and it's a hint to the fact that just what you'd expect there to be there. So obviously, it's not something you'd notice until it gets pointed out. Then it just stands out, and it's supposed to represent, like, all the people have been replaced. Like, similar to the cars, all the cars have been replaced by an electronic equivalent that kind of looks like the thing, but is a bit different.
It's just one of those things that the moment you point it out and the moment you talked about it, it, like, either I was in that video and you told me about it, or you told me about it off screen, off recording when you found that out. But either way, just when you had that detail pointed out to me, I was like, oh shit, yeah. And you watch the movie and it's something that, like, now stands out so much to me.
Every single car is the exact same car.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, you wouldn't notice it, right? Just like the characters, they're walking through the town, they notice, like, okay, it's just exactly how I remember it. Oh, actually, no, it's not quite exactly how I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
There's something wrong, but I don't know what it is. There's some detail about this that doesn't quite gel with my memory.
Right, yeah. It's kind of a similar thing to the joke about the pubs, but the joke about the pubs, they point out to you.
Yes, it's
well,
lampshaded.
Every pub kind of just is the exact same pub, but that's like a very on-the-nose gag that's pointed out to you, but the same kind of gag is happening in the background with the cars.
Yeah, and that's something like the series does quite well. There's loads of, like, Easter eggs and lampshades and Chekhov's guns.
So, you know, let us know what your favourite moments in the Cornetto trilogy are for, like, little Easter eggs and cool bits, and maybe we can either find a wiki or just, like, make our own little community compilation of things to talk about across the three films.
Do you have one, though, like a favourite, like, Easter egg or something like that?
I think my favourite one is the one in Shaun of the Dead, where it's, like, the conversation they have playing Time Splitters then gets played out later in the bar.
Oh, it's like, top left, nice shot.
Top left, reload, nice shot, yeah.
Top left. Uh-huh. I was going to say, reload? I'm on it. Since... Oh, nice shot.
Top left! Reload. I'm on it! Nice shot.
It's just everything about... I say there's not an ounce of fat on that movie. Like, every single line. Like, oh, Peter Serafinowicz turns up. Next time I see him, he's dead. Next time Nick Frost sees him, he's dead. Yeah. Peter Serafinowicz says to him, why don't you go live in a shed at the bottom of the garden? What does Nick Frost end up doing? Living in a shed at the bottom of the garden. The doors open again. Anyone can walk in. What happens? The guy walks in. And the detail is you can see, do you know when, like, Simon Pegg goes to a shop?
You can see the guy walking down the street already when he comes back in.
You can see him follow him out, but you wouldn't notice it because you're too busy watching the action. But that guy follows Simon Pegg home.
Yeah, that guy is literally walking down. He's stumbling down Simon Pegg's street as Simon Pegg goes back into the house, and then Simon Pegg leaves the door open like he always seems to do.
Yep.
And then that's the zombie that comes into the house.
Yeah, and it's just like, of course it's referenced, and then there's all like there's the posters in the background. There's a poster in the background of Sean's name, and it says Sean Smiley Riley on it, and he's a DJ, and that's why he has records. Sean used to be a DJ. That's why he's fucking like shredding the decks at 2 a.m. He used to be a DJ.
So yeah, let us know all that kind of shit. Maybe it can just be, if there's not a wiki detail and all this, maybe we can just kind of make our own kind of thing.
Go into like the Discord we've got set up below. Go in there and share your favourite, and I guarantee you're not going to find one I don't know.
We will cover all that shit at some point, but for now, thank you all for watching. If you've enjoyed this, remember to like, share, all that jazz. Support us on Patreon if you'd like to, and definitely go join the community Discord to let us know your favourite moments.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you all.